Morning, everyone. It's me, Patrick. I'm kind of excited for today. I've got big plans for today. Today begins stage 2 of what I call Project SuperBeast. I wanted to kind of explain what that is and why I'm doing it. I've done a pretty good job of losing some weight, at least recently, and I haven't really told that whole story here on Facebook, and I wanted to kind of just be honest, since I'm being really outside of my box these days and just trying to overcome my shyness and just be honest. I want to kind of show you guys my journey, what I'm doing to lose weight and get in shape, and what phase 2 is going to be all about is going to be vegan bodybuilding. I want to show people that you can actually gain muscle while being a vegan. Because I wasn't a vegan for a while now, and I really regret it. I did it for compassionate reasons, not for health reasons. And so when I fell off veganism, I felt really bad, just because my soul hurt. Just because I love Chewy so much, I can't imagine ever hurting him, and I can't imagine anybody hurting any animal like him. You know, and they're all the same, really. They all have the same sort of innocent spirits in them. They have souls, I believe, and I wrote a big essay about that once. But so anyways, I wanted to show you guys why I'm doing this and tell you a little bit of a story about how for a while, a lot of people would compare me to Santa Claus. Happened a lot because I was a big guy. My biggest, I was 355 pounds back when I worked at Top Cow, and pretty big fella. And, you know, no girls would want to date me, and I was just a big friendly guy and very jolly because I had an outward, you know, mask I showed the world, whereas inside I was really sad, because when I'm overweight like that, I'm very, very sad, actually. I mean, I've lost weight a few times and I've always gained it back, but this time I'm not getting back ever, because this is the time I'm doing this for me and just my health, and I want to be around and I want to be healthy. And before, when I've lost weight, it's kind of been for girls. And this time it's for me. And like, one of the reasons I kind of disappeared off of Facebook for a while is because, you know, at one point, you know, I was using this as my profile picture for many years. And I didn't realize how old that picture was until recently. And I was like putting together a dating profile thing on some app. And that I don't use it anymore because I gave up on that stuff. But I used this picture and I was like, you know, that's kind of an old picture now. And I've been using that on Facebook forever. It's from June 11th or June something of 2011. And the last time I was really in good shape. And so I felt like I was kind of catfishing people because I left that as my portfolio or my Facebook picture for a long time. And even though my weight went up and down over the last few years, and I felt really guilty. I felt like I was not exactly being honest. And that's why I kind of disappeared for a while off Facebook. And I just want to be honest. Here's a picture of me recently with my buddies. And this was not recent. This was a couple of years ago. But you know, you try to pick me on this picture. I love these guys. These are my brothers from other mothers. I love these fellows. We hang out once a month and watch movies. And this is me. That was me. And that's a pretty sad person, you know, putting on a happy face. But I was so unhappy being this guy. But all my friends didn't care. We were all buddies. And yeah, so I decided at one point recently, I went, September 15th actually, I had a doctor's appointment. And I went in there and I weighed this last year, and the doctor told me I weighed 331 pounds. And I was like, oh shoot, I've really let myself go. I didn't realize how bad I'd gotten because it was the pandemic and no one had seen me in months. And I was like, just really, you know, just sad and eating, and the gym closed and I lost my job, and it was really sad. And so my whole apartment was empty. I didn't really feel like I lived here. There's nothing on the walls. So on September 15th, I decided I'm just going to change everything. And I started fasting and working out twice a day, and redecorated my entire apartment and tried to refine all the things in life that I love, like cars and watching car stuff on YouTube and all the famous monsters art I loved as a kid and all the Godzilla stuff. So I just decided to change my life. and starting with fasting and intermittent fasting and working out twice a day. And so that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm, that was stage 1. So stage 2 begins today, and that is going to be veganism. I got this yesterday. This is the best. Look at this. We got vegan protein powder. You don't need to eat a bunch of, meat and stuff to gain muscle. You just need protein. And this peanut butter cereal milk flavored vegan protein, combine it with some like nice oat milk or coconut almond milk, and it's delicious. It's just so good. I'm gonna eat this stuff all the time, and so that's gonna be part of my master plan. It's just all these plants. Everything in here is plant-based. No cruelty to animals anymore. It's just something that's in my past again. I'm so ashamed that I fell off that. But so there's a reason why I'm doing all this, and oops, this. So let me talk to you a second about meeting Ian McKeig, who is like this famous illustrator, famous for Star Wars and all sorts of stuff. I'm just getting back into my thing because I have a reference over here I want to show you guys, and the thing turned off on me. So anyways, so I back when I was working at petrol advertising, I was working with Clarence Lansing, and he's like a great guy, just one of the most amazing, talented artists I've ever met in my life. And we went to a Gnomon workshop to see Iain McCaig, this guy. And this is an interview with him on YouTube. But just a total like superhero of artists, this guy. And one of the coolest guys you'll ever talk to. And he was doing a talk at Gnomon. And so here's some of his art. He's just a genius. And every artist wants to talk to him and get to know him. And I got to talk to him once. And that's what this little story is about, and how it kind of affected me. And this is a really roundabout story to get to where I'm going. But hopefully, if you're bored, this will be an interesting story. So me and Clarence Lansing, we worked at Top Cow, and then we worked at Petrol together. We were the two illustrators of that company from the very beginning, basically. And we sort of helped get that company off the ground as far as illustration goes. And me and Clarence worked together every day for years and years and years. And he was a great guy. And like, my birthday was the same day as his brother. So we had like this weird karmic connection, like we were brothers kind of. And so we were in battle creating art. But so we're going to go to meet Ian McKeig at a Gnomon workshop. And so we go there, and before the workshop started, Ian McKeig was walking through the crowd, and he said, hey, anybody have a portfolio? I'll just like crack it open right here. I'll give you a quick review in front of everybody. And I was sitting right there, and I was like, I'm going to raise my hand and be brave for once. So I raised my hand, and I said, I got one right here. And I was right by him, and he said, oh, okay. So he grabbed my portfolio, and he opened it up, and it was this portfolio right here. I happen to have it right sitting here in front of me. And so he grabbed it, and he looked it, opened it up. Here's the first thing that was in there is this self-portrait where I am as a spiritual weirdo, all my symbols around my head, and flaming lotus in hand, and meditating pose, and my inner dragon, my inner id. Anyways, he started looking through this, and he was like, oh, wow, look at this. And I had a very big Top Cow influence back then, and I was doing stuff, and he's like flipping through this, and he's like, wow, these are really good. Wow, you guys should all come look at this guy's stuff. It's really amazing. I had this all sorts of cool stuff in there, that 2-page spreads I was doing to try to impress Top Cow and Mark Sylvester back in the day. And but Ian McKeig, and I always loved this one. I'll tell you a quick story about this one, this Inferno piece I was doing. I was an intern. Forgive me as I get off topic a little bit as I talk. This is a fun story from my time at Top Cow. And I wanted, because I was really lucky to work around these amazing artists. And it was 2001, and before 9/11 happened. And I was hanging out in the studio as an intern, basically making peanuts, doing inking assists, spotting blacks and stuff for the inkers, because they'd pay me $20 a page to do it, and so I could buy food, because I had no money. And so I had this drawing out at one time at the studio, and I was working on it, and Michael Turner came over, and I was so amazed by that guy, and I was very blessed to get to know him and hang out with him. And he had actually become best friends with my best friend, Jason Gorder, who came down to that studio before I did, way before I did. And him and Mike became really good friends, and I was a little jealous of Mike because of that, because he was so successful and everything he did was perfect. And he kind of stole my best friend, and I was like, oh, that sucks. But who can blame him? Michael Turner's amazing. He's like just the golden child at Top Cow. He was so cool. We'd all hang out and play video games with him and stuff. But this was sitting out on my table at Top Cow, and I was working on it, and then I went and Mike, I'll have to tell you about my first time meeting Mark Silvestri. It was so embarrassing. I really messed that up. When I walked in the first time to meet him, I took him, everybody said, go in there and talk to Mark. You have to show him your stuff and be aggressive. And I was like, all right, I was so nervous, and he's so tall and like a god. And so I was like, hi, it's me, I'm Patrick, I'm new here, I'm a penciling intern, and you guys let me come in. And he said, yeah, I know you are, and come on in. And he was working at his awesome office with all these cool statues, and he had a drawing table right there, and he was at his office table, and I put down my portfolio in front of him, then I kind of backed up and bumped into his art table and knocked over everything on it. It all went crashing to the ground, and I was like, oh shit. There's my first impression for Mark Silvestri. He'll always remember me for being the idiot that knocked over all his things. He was so generous and kind, and he was like, no, don't worry about it. Nah, that happens, don't worry about it, just I'll and he looked at my work. And anyways, back to the Michael Turner story. Mike came over one day when I was working on this, and he gave me some pointers on fixing this girl's hair, or her head. He said, it looks too squished to me, and he wanted me to elongate her head and fix it. And I was like, I didn't really agree with him. I thought the way he was drawing girls' faces back then seemed a little elongated to me, so I was like, yeah, I don't know if I really agree. I don't know if I said that to him, but I was always grateful when he gave me pointers. Every time he gave me pointers, he was right, so I was probably wrong. I probably should have fixed that face. But anyways, I went and did something else, and when I came back, this is what happened at Top Cow. Mike had a little bit of a mischievous, impish spirit sometimes, and when I got back, there were little penises drawn all over, disappearing into this smoke down here. They were like penises rising from the mists all over my drawing, and they were Michael Turner drawn penises, so I was like, wow, they're very nice. And so I erased them, but I was like, that's cool. It kind of felt like I was one of the guys at that point, because I was sort of initiated and, being given crap by the biggest guy there. And so that was fun. But, so anyways, that's my Top Cow story about Michael Turner. I have a lot of them. I'm going to share more stories about Top Cow back in those days, because there was amazing times back then. And, there were so many incredible artists at that studio, including Joe Benitez, and Dave Finch had kind of left at that point, but he was around occasionally. Clarence had, me and Clarence were kind of going off into advertising, and with Kucha and a few of these other people, but Michael Turner was around still. He was the prince. Mark was the king, but Michael Turner was the prince of Top Cow, and he was awesome. It was great to get to hang out with him. But anyways, so Ian McKeig was looking through this portfolio, and he's like, yeah, great job. You should definitely be getting some work and all this stuff. And I should go through this portfolio for you guys sometime, because I did a lot of cool stuff, including these designs for American McKee, who created a Alice in Wonderland game back then. And one time I went up to his house right by the Hollywood sign, and we had a big earthquake while I was there, and his house was on stilts. That scared the crap out of me. I thought we were all going to die. But he loved these drawings I did for Wizard of Oz game he was working on. That was going to be similar to the corrupted Alice in Wonderland stuff. It was going to be all these designs of crazy Wizard of Oz characters. Anyways, enough of this portfolio. So I was at the workshop, and Ian McKeig went up there to start doing his talk, and his talk was about updating the icon. And that was his design challenge that day. So he decided to do Santa Claus. He's going to update Santa Claus. So he went up there and he started his talk, and he's like, okay, I need a volunteer to come up and be my model as we do this Santa Claus thing. And he's like, oh, yeah, Patrick. He just talked to me, and he's like, will you come up and be my Santa Claus model? And I was like, oh, yeah, this will be fun. I was so shy and embarrassed. Oh, great. I'm a big fat guy, so he's going to want me to be Santa Claus. So I was like, all right, great. So I went up there and fought off my shyness and went up there, and he was so generous and kind. He didn't mean to like make me feel bad. He just thought he's giving me an honor. It's an honor to be given a chance to do stuff with that guy. I mean, he's like a god. He's just amazing. He was so cool. So he did a drawing of me, and it's this drawing right here. That's the drawing he did of me right on stage. And he wrote on there, hey Patrick, may the muse be with you always, Ian McKeig. And he put his email address on the back for me, and that's a whole other story. But so this is the drawing he did as a warm-up to redesign Santa Claus. So that, and at one point he had me laugh like Santa Claus. Oh. The whole audience laughed at how funny it was that I looked like Santa Claus and sounded like him. And so that happened to me a lot. I got a lot of Santa Claus stuff, and I didn't want to be Santa Claus. I wanted to be, and when he redesigned Santa Claus, he made him this big, muscly guy like Thor, and turned Rudolph into a dragon, and it was really cool. It was awesome, and I was like, yeah, I want to rather be that Santa Claus. I don't want to be fat Thor. I want to be in shape Thor. And so, yeah, Endgame was a wake-up call for me. I was like, I could be fat Thor for Halloween this year, because I don't have to do any extra work to make myself look like that. I look like it. So, and that depressed me. I didn't want to be that Thor. I wanted to be Love and Rockets Thor, or whatever the new movie is, the Love and Romance Thor. So I've been working on that. But anyways, so that's the big plan. And it's funny because after that workshop, we went out, and Ian was talking to us again, and he was looking through Clarence's portfolio, and he was like, hey, I'm a friend of Santa Claus. You want to look at my portfolio too? And Ian said, okay. So he looked at it, and he was like, oh. And then he got to this. It's in Clarence's portfolio. And he's like, oh, you did that? And Clarence was like, yeah, that's some of my Top Cow stuff. And he said, Ian McKeig said, I have this poster hanging behind my art studio, my desk at my art studio in my studio. And so we were all just like, wow, that's so cool. Ian McKeig knows who Clarence is and has his artwork hanging in his studio. So that was such a neat thing for Clarence. And I just thought that was a funny little tidbit. But yeah, so today it begin phase 2. I'm going to, and one other real quick thing. At that same workshop, he had a friend with him. Ian McKeig had another guy with him, and it was this fellow. It's James Gurney. And he showed up, and he had a lot of style, and I think he had this outfit on when he showed up. He had a cool hat and like some funky glasses, and he had this big long like coat that looked like a Western cowboy coat, but it was ornate and cool looking, and just long. And I thought he was the coolest dude I'd ever seen in my life. And I thought, if I ever lose this weight, I'm gonna get a long coat like that and some cool glasses, and I'm gonna have some style like an artist, and not just be this fat Santa Claus guy anymore. And when I lost weight, I actually found a coat like that, and I wore that a lot when I looked like this. And I wore that coat all the time, and I felt like I had won, But then years went by. I had to come back to Spokane and Post Falls to stay with my parents because I had a bone infection in my foot, and I had to have surgery to save my life because I was about to die. I didn't realize it. And I put on some weight after that, and after the surgery, and then I was like, oh, this sucks. I was living in Post Falls with my parents, and because I couldn't work and drive or anything for like a long time. And I finally lost the weight. I started fasting, and like I scared my parents because they thought I was killing myself. But I lost the weight, and I was working out all the time, and I started dating, and it was very exciting. And my weight would go up and down a little bit, but I kept it mostly down. But then recently, in the recent years, when I moved in here into this place, I was living with a friend of mine who we had been together for a long time, but we were just great friends at that point, and she needed a roommate, and so I thought, well, I need a place to live. I need to get out of my parents' place, and so I moved in here. But she eventually moved out, and then I lived here. And I was just kind of by myself, and there was nothing on the walls. She took everything that was hers, and I had nothing. I had these couches, but they weren't in this order. And but I tried dating again a couple times and just failed because I started gaining weight again. And none of the girls, no girls wants to be with a guy that looks like Santa Claus. It just, as much as a cool guy as I was, it just, I understand. I don't blame them. So eventually this year came around, and the pandemic, I was going to actually get in shape. I got a membership at Move Fitness, and I started working out. It was February of 2020, and I was like, yes, I'm doing it. I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to get back in shape, and I'm going to, it's going to be great. I had a new job. I was drawing Predator for Dark Horse, and life was good. And then the pandemic happened, and March, and then my gym shut down, and I couldn't do that anymore. And then I lost my Predator book because we had a small window of opportunity to do it before their license for Predator went to Disney, because they bought Fox. So Disney owned Marvel. So they decided, of course, to have all their Predator comics be done by their own company, Marvel Comics. And so Dark Horse lost the opportunity to publish that book, and because of just the way the publishing schedule worked. So they had to cancel the whole project. So I was so depressed, and just started eating, and I was alone here in this place, and I had nothing, and I just got really sad, and it was a really bad time. And then 6 months went by, the pandemic, and I was just alone and eating myself and into comfort food, and no longer I looked like this guy. I looked like the guy in that picture I showed you in the bedroom. And I feel like I was catfishing people because I didn't change my picture to look like what I look like now. So September 15th came, and I had a doctor's appointment because I had type 2 diabetes, and I had to make sure I was making sure I had my blood sugars under control, and of course I didn't. And I went in there, and he weighed me, and I weighed 331 pounds, which is only 20 pounds less than I did at my heaviest back at Top Cow when I was Santa Claus back then. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be this guy ever again. I'm him again. And I was so sad that I decided right then and there. And of course, everything else was happening. Everybody was talking about civil war and the election, and it was all politics, and everybody hated each other. And I was just like, what is happening to this world? And I decided I am going to lose this weight, turn my attitude around, meditate and fast, and talk to God, and try to reconnect with the source of light in this world, and try to manifest a better reality than what I'd been dealing with. And Jesus did that, and before he went into his final days, he did that 40 days in the desert thing. So I thought, well, if it's good for Jesus, I can try it. And so I did 40 days, and right before the election, I had lost a bunch of weight. And I was like, okay, if the Civil War starts, at least I'm in fighting shape, so I can make a good go of it. And then, luckily, the result of the election was something that made me very happy. And of course, the person that lost didn't believe he lost, and it was a big mess. But still, things looked pretty good. And I was losing weight, and so I kept going. I just kept doing the intermittent fasting, and I'd eat every once in a while, but I tried to go as many days between eating as I could, and I just lost about 118 pounds in about 6.5 months. And so that happened just in September. So all of this is brand new to me. I feel like this is a brand new start in life, where I'm going to not be this guy anymore, and now I'm back to being more like that guy, a little older, but I'm basically the same guy again. And I'm now going to go into phase 2, which is instead of fasting all the time, I'm going to start eating more. And my original idea was to eat like Chris Bumstead, who's another guy I watch on YouTube all the time. He's the Mr. Olympia right now, the classic division Mr. Olympia. And I watched all of his vlogs, years and years worth, before he won the Olympia, to get how he got there. And I watched every day he post a vlog of what he's eating that day and how he's working out and training. And I took notes. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to live like this guy. And I know I won't become Mr. Olympia, but I'll definitely put on some muscles and start looking like Thor, like the Thor I want to be, and not this kind of skinnier version of Thor, which I'm happy I'm skinnier, but I want to be the man I've always pictured myself being in my head, which is a much more muscular and like Thor-like person. So that's my big goal right now, is to do that. And that starts today. I'm going to Move Fitness here in a minute. I'm getting my my membership there, and I'm going to start going every day. I'm doing a split, which I've never done before. I've always worked out a little of everything every time I went in every other day, and that was a bad way to do it. And I didn't have my nutrition right. I didn't understand the science. I did it wrong all the years of my life I was working out, that I enjoyed working out. So this time I'm going to go in there, I'm going to work out like a smart scientific bodybuilder and see if I can put on some muscles, even though I'm not eating meats. I'm eating plant-based proteins and stuff. So that's the mission. That's what's happening. I'm going to continue this journey, and I will update you guys again once I put some muscles on these twigs, these oaks, as my friend Federico used to call them, these mighty oaks. So we're going to make some muscles. We're going to get going, and hopefully it'll be a good journey, and I'll update you guys along the way how things go, and we'll see what happens. But wish me luck. Thanks for listening to my long story. I'm sure no one will listen to that, because no one's listening to any of these videos I'm doing, which is fine. It's liberating, and that way I can post them, and they're there for me for the future when I want to look at this point in my life where I was making all these changes, these positive changes, and feeling good about the world again. I can look back and say, oh, that's my journey. ThunderBeast 509 is my journey through this process of, my reloving philosophy and getting in shape, and all the things that I love, all the stuff on my walls and art and all that stuff. Trying to be more like that guy who's just an amazing influence. So that's how we're doing it today. We're gonna go get some muscles going, and I will be in touch. Take care, everyone, and go out there and have fun today.